AI tools have advanced at an incredible rate over the past year. Many new things are possible and others are easier than ever. But most people haven't changed how they use them. When used right, AI can put you ahead of 90% of people in your work, life, or even business. So here are the 7 skills you need to stay ahead in 2026. I'll start off with a big one. Anyone who uses AI regularly knows it still hallucinates all the time. So if you're just asking me questions and going back and forth on a topic or process, it can make stuff up or give terrible advice, and it's very confident while doing it. There's a few ways to greatly reduce that problem, but the number one is with grounding. Whenever possible, give the model real context to work from. Don't ask it questions from memory, upload or paste in a transcript, PDF, documentation, article, or even a research paper and tell it to answer based only on this text. If you are unsure or the information is missing, say, "I don't know," instead of guessing. That last part, explicitly telling it to not guess, is extremely helpful and can even be expanded on when needed into a new prompt like this. For each main claim, add a confidence label such as high, medium, or low. Then at the end, list anything you're unsure about or could not find. This forces the model to evaluate its own claims and where they came from, which makes it easier for you to know which parts of the response to verify or to even double check. Taking it further is retrieval augmented generation, or RAG. My favorite tool for this is Notebook LM, which is a free tool from Google. It lets you upload multiple sources across different file types or can even find sources for you. Then forces in-text citations by default that drastically reproduce hallucination. So for high stakes topics, I have always asked one or even more of these free prompts. This asks it to identify where sources disagree, what's missing from the coverage, and what alternative viewpoints might not be represented. So those are the core tips for reducing hallucinations, and they can be adapted to whatever you're working on. Sometimes ChatGPT isn't the best tool for the job. It might be Claude, sometimes Gemini, or even Grok. And the best tool changes all the time. For day-to-day chats, you can just use whatever you like. But for high-stakes prompts or specific use cases like coding or research, picking the right tool matters. The best way to learn which tool is best for what is with a technique which I call round method. Andrew Carpenti, one of the founders of OpenAI, has made a post about using basically the same method recently, but he called it the LLM Council. At the core, with the LLM Council, you run the same prompt through each of the leading models and then compare the results. And this is useful for multiple reasons. You see which model performs best at what specific task, you can pull the best pieces from each answer, and you can search for consciousness across different models, which also helps verify information and reduce hallucinations. You can even ask one model to evaluate and rank all the responses. They're usually very effective at analyzing the results and pointing out errors and which it's best at. The next skill is orchestration. This involves workflow, thinking, and knowing what you want and how to connect tools together to get it. The specific tools will change constantly, so this isn't about mastering just one tool. It's really the meta skill of how to build systems. And these tools are increasingly multimodal, so you are learning to connect images, videos, PDF, texts, and more together. And the best way to participate this is to start by mapping out a repetitive task you do manually. Just write down each step, then identify which step could be handled by which tool. You can start simple, connect 2 or 3 tools together, see how it works, then expand from there. This can apply to fairly simple things. For example, say you need to qualify inbound leads, new leads that could land on a spreadsheet that could trigger an AI agent to enrich each of these with the company's size and industry, things it finds on the website or LinkedIn. Then it could assign a fit score. So for example, high fit leads would get personalized outreach emails, auto-generated with context for your sales rep. Then the low fit leads could go into like a nurture sequence instead of burning sales time. Orchestration is the key skill to learn to begin building agents. When you can think through workflow and understand how tools need to connect, you may be able to build an agent to completely automate that system. And one of the easiest tools to learn for this is Make. When you want something that connects tools, makes decisions, and adapts to what's happening in real time, you need a platform built for it. That's where Make comes in. And Make has been one of the go-to platforms for automations for years. But now that they have incorporated AI agents, the possibilities have exploded. You're not just creating automations anymore. You're orchestrating entire AI-driven workflows. Make AI agents understand goals in plain language and dynamically adjust how they work to achieve them. I want to use a broader, more universal example. So this is my personal assistant agent that I built in Make. I've connected it to all sorts of automations, reading my calendar and email, and even more advanced things like researching new AI stories or drafting content ideas. So I can just message it things like put my meeting with Sam Altman on my calendar and it knows what tool to use and adds it seamlessly. Or I can even drop in a link to an article and ask it to create content for it. Vibe coding is an extremely useful skill that has become much simpler as the tools have improved. You can create landing pages or even full pieces of software so easily that they can be used as lead magnets or productivity tools or resources to share with your audience. We have another example where Andre actually vibe coded that LLM Council that will automatically route your prompt to 4 different LLMs. Then it anonymizes the answers and has all rank each other on accuracy and insight. Then sends it to the chairman of the LLM Council, which takes all of these responses and compiles them into a single final answer that is presented to the user. You vibe coded that and put it into GitHub, which you can download and use it for yourself if you know how to do that. It's pretty insane. We're at a point where we can spin up software just to give away for free, and if you're trying to sell vibe coded software, that takes some additional steps to make sure it's all safe and functioning properly at scale. But you should definitely be building internal tools to speed up your processes. Now, I've talked about a lot how easy it is to create tools, content, agents, and even software. As creation becomes easy and essentially infinite, curation becomes the bottleneck. You need to focus on knowing what to create and not how to create it. Once you know what to create, you can use everything I mentioned earlier. The judgment of what is worth creating becomes a skill, and right now there is still a bit of an arbitrage where most people haven't discovered how easy some of this has become. So the curation phase hasn't fully materialized yet. But that's the direction everything is headed. And part of the curation is understanding when to add your own humanness. Like the human edge is very important. Sometimes this is just a human in the loop quality control phase and at the end of another system. Other times it's deeply adding your own touch and the experiences to the process. That's especially important for content creation, which brings me to the last but very important point. Know when to not use AI. Script writing is a good example. Like I hardly use AI at all in script writing. Even with refined examples, contents, and prompting, it still lacks that human element, and you can feel it. Engaging content usually involves novel ideas or connecting ideas in novel ways, which LLMs aren't very good at. But also, it just feels wrong for me to have AI write a full script. Not only because it feels wrong, but also if I were to use it too deeply in the process, I think my creative writing muscle and the skills of non-linear thinking and connecting ideas would disappear.